What is up, guys? It is your boy Brian636 here. Just went and picked up this gem, 2004 Kawasaki 636. And it got me thinking. I've kind of bought a lot of bikes off Craigslist, OfferUp, whatever, and I have formulated a checklist of things to look for. And I kind of stick to the same 10 things. So today I want to cover the top 10 things I look for and that you should look for when buying a potential bike or stunt bike off of one of these social media sites. So let's get right into it. All right, the first and foremost thing that you want to look for, especially if you're looking at a bike that, is a potential stunt bike or, an everyday rider, is the frame. And when I say the frame, I mean the subframe, I mean the swing arm, and I mean the main frame. You're looking for cracks, dents, anything like that that indicates anything like a crash ever happening. And that's, potential barter points or whatever. This bike had a small little dent right here. Not a huge deal, something that we can still work with, but it's something to keep in mind. If you have a bike like a 636, you might want to be checking at these little engine mounts. You want to be checking a lot of the welds, stuff like that. Make sure there's not any hairline cracks forming. That's a big giveaway that, you probably want to stay away from the bike. I don't know about you, but I don't want my bike's frame snapping when I'm riding it. So, first things first, frame. Second thing here, the motor. Big, of course, important part of your motorcycle. I mean, it's in the name. You want to check the gaskets, make sure they're not leaking. Put it over on its side, make sure it's got oil in the sight glass or oil in the dipstick, whatever. And look at the condition of the oil. I probably wouldn't want to buy a bike that has no oil. And, it's something to keep in mind if your bike has super dirty oil and you're looking at the bike. So you want to check, make sure there's no little leaks or anything like that going on. This one's all good. But it's extremely common for guys to get to the shop and, oh no, now I got to, rip the motor apart because, some guy just put some motor honey in it and sold it to me and I thought it was all good. So let it run, get up to operating temperature, let it sit at operating temperature, make sure it's not overheating. That's all signs of a bad head gasket. So make sure that you want to do all that stuff. And of course, this one obviously ran for me here. She sounds good. Sounds perfect. Sounds just like my other 636s I've had in the past. You want to put your head up to it. Make sure you don't hear any clamoring up in the head. Those are all big dead giveaways. All really big dead giveaways of some of these older sport bikes or even the newer ones if they got clattery heads. All right, guys, so the third thing you want to be checking for here is the clutch. That's basically, you're not going to rip apart the motor when you're checking out the bike. So you want to get on the bike, make sure that the clutch snaps. It has a firm release. And when you're riding it, make sure you actually give it some gas. If your bike revs up, if the motor revs up and, you're not getting pulled as high as the motor's revving up, that's a dead giveaway that your clutch is slipping. And definitely a bike that you probably want to stay away from. That's kind of a given because it means that not only the motor's had a rough life, but the guy just didn't take care of it, and it's a costly thing if you take it to a shop and have your clutch replaced. So third thing, clutch. All right, guys. So the fourth thing here, tying in with the engine, is the radiator. You want to make sure that the fins aren't too bent. You want to make sure it's in good condition. There's no cracks up here from it being dropped. The radiator mounts, and of course, crack the cap. Make sure it's not hot. And look at that. Nice green coolant in there. So that's a big thing you want to check for too. Make sure it's got coolant in it, especially if the bike is something like a 636 or an F4i and has the potential to be a stunt bike. Oh man, that cap's hard. You want to check that it's got a good radiator on it because those are some of the weak points of the bike. So fourth thing, radiator. Guys, number 5 on the list, the forks. You want to make sure that your seals down here, you don't have wet fork tubes. They're all good. If you have, leaky fork seals, that's something you can, not necessarily a deal breaker, but something that you can negotiate in that, I'm going to have to spend the $100-something to replace the forks. And that also gives you a good idea of how the guy rode the bike and how he took care of it. If it's, wheelied all the time and left dirty, yeah, you're going to blow fork seals, but hopefully the guy took pride in his bike and you got a good pair of forks on there. Just check the overall condition on them too. Make sure they're not bent. I know with a lot of Suzukis,
you can see bends in the forks. I don't know why it's Suzuki's, but I've always seen a bunch of Gixxers with slightly bent forks, and that's from running into something straight on and then somebody not repairing it. So make sure they're straight, make sure they're good, check the seals, don't overthink it. There you go, number 5. Number 6, that's your brakes. Super important part here. It's gonna be what slows you down. You can kind of glimpse into here, see how much pad you have left on the front. The rear is pretty easy to see as well. See how much pad you have in the back. Not too much pad left on the back here, so we'll think about changing that here in the next, 1,000 or so miles, but still, it's something to think about, something to add into your, bartering. And more so what I think of it is how did the guy take care of the bike? Are the pads there? If there's no pads, these rotors are probably gonna have to get changed too because they're all warped. Number 7, it's how your bike moves. Nope, not the brakes. Yup, your chain. You wanna make sure your chain, your sprockets are in good condition. This one's a little bit dirty, a little bit of a dirty girl, but I was looking at the teeth mainly. It's okay, I'm gonna replace all of it. Yes, that's snow in there. It's cold here, whatever. Just brought it in the garage, but make sure you don't have any missing teeth, spin the wheel all the way around. And it's another huge thing of, am I gonna have to replace the chain? Because if all these little things keep adding up, that's hundreds and hundreds of dollars that you're gonna have to put into a bike that maybe, the price difference between that and a really well taken care of bike, or that's the better deal. So keep in mind, little stuff like that help you a lot, and you're not going anywhere on a motorcycle without a chain and sprockets. So there you go, number 7, chain and sprockets. All right, guys, number 8, not gonna overthink this one too much. Tires, make sure there's no bubbling on them. Check the wear. I mean, there's wear marks on tires, so it's pretty easy to see if they need to be replaced or not. And it just gives you a sense of, did the guy take care of it? Did the guy go in the mountains and corner? No, not with those chicken strips, but whatever. It just gives you a sense of how the guy rode it. And if they do need to be replaced, just like the things before, it's something that you can throw into the bartering mix here, because that's going to be extra expense to you, because tires are not cheap either. So there you go, number 8, tires. Guys, number 9, electronics. You want to make sure your tail light, your headlight, whatever is working. Make sure the blinkers work. Throw these girls on, just like that. Left side blinker, cool. Right side blinker, cool. If they don't work, not a huge deal if you're getting a bike, for a deal, because blinkers are relatively cheap. You can get them on eBay or whatever for, $20. But it's something else to keep in mind, because a lot of guys with sport bikes, they do these custom, turn signals and stuff. So make sure that you're keeping that in mind. It's another bartering tool like everything else here. So make sure your blinkers, your headlight, if you have a headlight, this one came with a headlight. I already ripped it off. It was way too ugly, so I ripped the headlight off, but we'll figure, a little bit nicer of a headlight to put on it once we get there. So make sure all your electronics is good. There you go, number 9. Guys, the 10th, and maybe not the most important, but it's up there, is the overall appearance. And this is somewhat going with your gut here. This is going over the little stuff. This is the chips in the fairing, the little tears in the seat or whatever. This is you being nitty and gritty, because this is, maybe you don't even have to bring it up in the deal, but this is the reason that this bike should be priced the way it is. For someone like me, a stunt rider that is going to pound in this tank, it's not a huge deal that there's a little paint chip right there. But for somebody else that is looking to build a nice sport bike, that would drive me crazy. So that's something to keep in mind. Am I going to have to repaint this whole tank, or am I going to put a sticker right there? Whatever. Stuff to keep in mind though. Guys, if these 10 tips helped you at all, and I already know that people have more tips, tricks, whatever, to buying a bike, put them down in the comments for me, because I'm always curious, because I know this isn't my first bike I bought off Craigslist or OfferUp, and I know it's not my last, so I'm always curious to hear other techniques and methods to going about it. So leave them down in the comments. I definitely read, I definitely respond them. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If this video helped you, make sure to share it. And what's under that blue tarp? That might be in another upcoming video here. I kind of want to do a grand reveal on it. If anyone has any guesses, drop them down in the comments. I'll let you know if you're right. So, all right, guys, this is Brian636 signing out. I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.